How's it going, everyone? Javita here with a leveling tips type video. This is going to be an attempt to make a much more condensed version of my previous videos, and yeah, I'm on one of my testing characters for leveling, and this is a stereotypical type build that I usually use for leveling. I just go pure dexterity, and then after that I pick up luck, and that's basically because your leveling is going to be tied to how fast you're gathering, and dexterity is always going to make you gather faster, period. Power, however, it can help you be a little bit more efficient, but it's only going to speed you up, and it's only going to be more efficient for that matter if you can actually shave one or more hits off of each block that you gather. So power is a little wishy-washy. And luck obviously is going to give you additional drops, so if you're going to break all those blocks, you might as well get more for them. However, you do want to focus on dexterity and potentially power as well, but I went ahead and did the nitty-gritty testing and found out a nice happy way to use both power and dexterity to be more efficient than pure builds of either dexterity or power. So early game, you're going to be using your totem, so your very first level, you're going to want to put 2 points into power. That is going to shave 1 hit off of your totem, so normally it would take 6 hits to break wood and stone, and with 2 power, that's going to shave that down to 5. So right there, you're going to be more efficient and faster. You'll have 4 points to spend right off, so you can put the other 2 into dexterity, and that will make you go just a little bit faster. Level 3, you're only going to get 2 points, so you can just go ahead and do a split. And that is because the optimal power for early game is going to be 5. So at level 4, you'll get another 2 points, and you'll be able to get 5 points in the power, and you'll have 3 left over to go into dexterity. After this, you can just continue to dump points into dexterity until you feel like you are gathering fast enough. You don't necessarily have to max it out, but if you do max it out, it will make you go faster. So in order to completely max dexterity out, you would take the 8 points here and then another 5 points over here, and that will give you the last little bit, since this gives you a little bit of all the attributes together. Another thing to consider is you could hold off on this attribute bonus for a while and start to fill out luck, which will give you a higher chance of getting double drops. There is a chance to get double drops even without luck, so it's kind of a personal preference of how you want to spend your points. Do you want to go for maximum luck, or would you rather go for simply gathering things faster? Certainly you could come down here and start picking up Hammer Mastery, another amazing skill for gatherers that unfortunately you're going to have to wait until at least level 14 as the scroll down here to, I believe it's Epic 2, and yes, this energy regeneration epic. So this is going to increase your energy regeneration by 900 per second. So that means like once you come to a stop because you're out of energy and you have to rest, just 1 tick and you're back up to mining again. I highly prefer energy regeneration over having a bigger energy bar with say this zeal bonus up here. So this will give you more energy, making this bar bigger. However, that just means you're going to have to wait longer while you're resting. But certainly you'll be able to mine for longer stints once you are rested. So it's kind of basically I ignore zeal until I start eating food buffs, because zeal also increases the duration of your buffs as well as shortening the duration of debuffs. So this can help you to get the most out of your foods and actually even brews as well. However, it's probably going to be a little bit before you actually have a food buff unless you go for the basic well-fed food buffs. But my personal preference is to focus on other things and come down here and get this energy regeneration epic basically as soon as possible, at least for gatherers. Something that is worth mentioning, however it's much less useful, is that you can use cleanse points to kind of flip-flop points around, and particularly useful for these epics because they are worth 5 skill points, but it only takes 1 cleanse point to unlearn them. So I can right click to take this durability epic out, and say I want to go mining, I could put it into hammer epic and be able to mine stone much more effectively, come home and could unlearn that and then pick up mass crafting, or this volume crafting epic that will allow me to mass craft all of my stone or all of my rock into stone for extra experience and efficiency. So that is a way to kind of stretch out what you can do on one character while still being quite effective. However, that's only going to carry you so far, and what I would really recommend doing is to save your qubits, and at level 11 buy an extra character slot. About level 10 you're going to find that you're going to need such a mix of gathering skills and crafting skills and maybe even some sling bow stuff that you're going to get a little too spread out, and that's going to end up slowing you down. So something I would highly recommend is creating two characters, one being a dedicated crafter, and normally this is where I would show you how to create two characters in quick succession to get them in the same spot very easily. However, it looks like the current plan is to allow only one character at the beginning, and additional character slots will have to be purchased with qubits. So the earliest you can get a second character would be around level 11. That's assuming you take the minimum number of plots required by the tutorial. You might be able to squeak it in at level 10 if you only buy one package of plots. However, that would mean you'd have to figure out how to live off of only 2 plots until you're level 10. And yeah, 4 plots is going to be tricky enough as it is. It should be quite doable, but it's probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But around a level 11, level 12, you should be able to pick up an extra character, which will allow you to be much more self-reliant and focus each character on their given role instead of having to spread out quite so much. And if you're going to try to survive on so few plots, just keep in mind that when you place a campfire, it's going to place 2 plots at the same time. So you might be able to reclaim one of them to get a little bit of extra space. Usually it goes below, but sometimes I think it can go above. So you'll just have to hit B to turn on plot view to see where that extra plot is. Once you are able to create another character, be sure to note your coordinates of your first character by hitting P and going to current locations in the places menu. And when you're picking your warp location, you'll be able to see the coordinates below your crosshair when picking your warp location. Once your new character enters the world, you can hit P again and set a custom location in the places menu to aid in finding your first character's base. And while we're talking about this volume crafting epic right here, it is good to note that you do have access to bulk crafting from the start. So this right here will give you mass crafting, which of course is better. However, until you're able to get this on one of your characters, you can use bulk crafting to get the most out of your resources as well as experience. So if you're unfamiliar, if you craft in higher quantities, either bulk or even better mass crafting, you're going to craft a higher number of items using less resources per item. So if you're going to be making a dedicated crafter, probably what you'll want to do is feed all of your rock to your crafter so that they can use volume crafting or mass crafting to get the most experience out of it. However, if you wanted to help power level your gatherer even more, you could still use cleanse points or just keep the volume crafting epic on that character, and you can squeeze a little bit of extra experience out of that rock. Another good thing to note for your crafter is once you get a couple of points into machine crafting, you should be able to make a refinery, which will allow you to take all that massive amount of stone, because you're taking, a small amount of rock and turning it into a lot of stone. You'll be able to stick that stone into a refiner and condense it into refined stone. So it's not going to give you the most amazing experience. However, it will help with inventory management of taking that massive amount of stone that got expanded and then recondensing it down into refined rock. So plus refined rock is worth a little bit more prestige, so it can be a handy building material as you'll probably be swimming in it no matter what. Okay, so whether or not you want to split your attention between two characters for crafting and gathering, the next thing you'll probably want to consider is where do you want to set up your base, or at least a temporary base. And if you've ever played Minecraft or any other kind of block building game, you're probably familiar with this strategy of just dig into the side of a hill. The advantage to this is your home is also your source of resources. So as you're crafting and you're waiting on things to craft, you can just come over here and start mining extra stone and resources. And as you can see, there's the potential to find some pretty valuable stuff doing this. However, there is something to be said about building out in the open, because building gives experience too. So you have two kind of strategies. You could build out in the open, which forces you to build more, which will inadvertently complete the building feats and give you extra experience. Whereas coming in here, it's going to maybe give you a little bit more convenient resources, and it's going to be a much more gathering focused type experience, where out in the open it's going to be a little bit more building focused. So kind of two sides of the coin there. So historically, we've needed things like silver to make alloy, as well as tech components to be able to make the machines required to make warp augments. However, on the testing servers where there's at least 4 new worlds, the starter worlds don't have any of these resources, and it sounds like it's actually intended to move the warp augment recipe to the workbench. And yeah, I mean, already the recipe for it is just like some base metal and some fresh vital essence, which is made from animal drops, and so sounds like it'll be fairly easy to get off your very first planet. And yeah, it's kind of anybody's guess now of what exactly you'll need to get off the planet, but sounds like it should be a lot easier. Currently, the starter worlds only have like just the basic coal and basic metals like copper and iron. There doesn't seem to be any tech components, just the remnants or fragments. So yeah, early game will be a little bit different than what we're used to come 1.0. But in general, tech components will be found higher and silver will be found lower. And what I mean by lower versus higher is that I'm basically talking about the water table. So if you're looking for something like silver, it's probably best to be below the natural water table, which is about 63 blocks, 65 blocks, somewhere around in there. And yeah, and then tech components are of course going to be higher, say up in the mountains, or at least kind of the higher hills. This is about elevation 90 if I remember correctly. So that's kind of the very basics of early game leveling. Some more advanced tips that are kind of interesting is, one, you could kind of rush and get off the planet as soon as possible. This will give you access to more advanced resources, and yeah, you might be able to start hunting meteors or gathering stuff to build things like bombs to go bomb mining. However, in order to make bomb mining really worthwhile, you're probably going to have to be able to craft some sort of persisting food, and yeah, that's probably maybe going to slow you down quite a bit, just trying to gather all the massive amount of stuff in order to actually make that work. Another interesting direction to go is that you could try to craft teaching foods. These are foods that will give you additional experience. The very first one is only 10% experience, but if you can manage to craft, say, a teaching pie, that gives you double experience for everything that you do, and that can be particularly powerful, as you might imagine. So originally it looked like you would be able to craft teaching foods while staying on the home planet. However, since the home worlds will seem to have apparently much more basic resources, you might have to go to at least a level 2 world to be able to get the stuff to make the teaching foods, particularly the sweet beans that are required. And since the teaching pie does require power in order to craft, the teaching loaf will be the most powerful you'll be able to make pretty early game. That's still an extra 50% experience, which is still quite potent. Certainly hunting in groups is probably going to be the fastest way to level. If you can't get into groups, the next fastest way is probably going to be bomb mining, but again, you're either going to need to rely on others for infrastructure to be able to make all the food and everything that you need, or you're going to spend a lot of time trying to gather all the stuff you need. Particularly for bomb mining, you're going to need volatile blood for the bombs. That's going to be the main thing holding you back. It's going to require exotic earth yams, which, yeah, can only be found on the more exotic planets. And if you're unfamiliar, volatile blood comes from hoppers. So far, I mean, in the past, you've been able to find them on any non-starter planet. However, I've been looking on the level 2 planets and I haven't really seen them there, so either I haven't found them or they're just super rare or they're not there at all. Certainly for the time being, they're on the ring worlds or the level 3 worlds, so yeah, that might make it pretty hard early level to get a hold of at least the volatile blood. And one potential source for exotic earth yams are these spine-back plants. As you can see, give exotic earth yams as well as petals. The other is going to be traveler's perches. Okay, so I seem to be unable to find any of the traveler's perches. So while they are having problems with the resource distribution on the live servers, they did mention that they don't seem to be having this issue on the new worlds that they're testing. So just might have to wait and see what the new worlds are going to bring to be able to figure out where the heck we're going to find all of this stuff. So might have to go as high as a level 3 world, or who knows, maybe a level 2 world will be enough, or even a level 4 world might have to be where we find or start to find these more advanced resources to be able to make persisting foods. So anyway, I think that covers the leveling tips pretty nicely. This is of course just my opinion or the way I would do it. If you have any leveling tips of your own, be sure to drop them down in the comments below. And yeah, this was Javita. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more like this. And if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel, want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.